If all the characters would be picked kind of consistently and there wouldn't be some form of a standard, I think that would be unhealthy for the game, because that would mean there's a lot of cheese and there's a lot of weird compositions that might be played and it wouldn't make professional level very fun to watch. You would just see like random stuff. But I feel like the best meta that could happen is a pretty like standard meta that shifts maybe with the patches, but it's also open to, on specific maps, you can play this character in specific scenarios or fights, or versus specific compositions, you can play versus another character. So like you pick Mei versus a lot of tanks maybe, you pick Fav and they don't have a lot of hit scan, but I don't think all the heroes should be picked consistently. I think that some heroes are designed to be situational and they should remain situational and be only picked in those situations.
I think there's always going to be a meta and there's going to be things that are strong. I don't think a game could be, like Dota does it really well where they have a lot of picks, but I don't think Overwatch should have that much flexibility, because I just don't think the way ultimates work and stuff, that constantly switching to that degree and having the playing field that even would be a healthy game state.
I can't see that ever happening, and I also don't think it would be good for the game. The reason I can't see it happening is because there's just heroes that fill certain roles that other heroes don't have. Lucio is the only hero in the game that gives you like a speed boost, and being able to boost your entire team in, that's just such a huge advantage to have. So that's why for so long Lucio has been a perma run. And then there's heroes like Reinhardt. He's the only hero who has a big shield that he can block everything from in front. You know, there's heroes like D.Va who has her defense matrix, which kind of does a similar thing, but she can't keep it up permanently like Ryan can until it breaks. So there's always going to be a couple of heroes which fill a role that no one else does. And I think that's not a bad thing to have, like having some of those heroes where they're not like almost a perma run isn't bad, because it still gives you a lot of flexibility with those other 3 or 4 roles where you can then swap them out, see what works, see what doesn't. So I think having, as long as it's not like 4 or 5 heroes that are all constantly perma runs, then that's where it'd be an issue, and then they'd have to like relook at the balance. But if it's just like 1 or 2, I think that's perfectly fine.
I feel like it's gonna be really hard with so many heroes, so many ultis and so on, to make it like completely balanced. Overwatch is like so diverse. Like I don't think it's possible to actually just make a perfect balanced patch. I don't think we're ever gonna see that, but like that's the whole point of playing competitively, is trying to find the best thing you can play all the time.
I don't know, like it's gonna be tough developing a perfectly balanced game, especially in something like Overwatch where you swap heroes mid-game. I mean, I don't think that's ever gonna be the case, because some heroes are just so versatile you want them more than others. Like the more general heroes means, the more general heroes you have means the less swaps you have to do, so the more ultimates you have, right? It's like one of the like fundamental parts of Overwatch. So if you look at the game right now, who are the most versatile heroes in the game? It's like, how often is Lucio picked? Like 99% of the time. It's like, well, it's because he's good on offense, defense, he can peel for supports, his ultimate's amazing, and he provides AoE healing at range, which no one else in the game does, because he is aura-based. And of course his speed boost is incredible, but yeah. And so how often do you want to swap off some hero that is good in almost every situation like that? It's like almost never, so you're going to have more Lucio ults and stuff like that. You know, I don't think they're ever going to make it perfect. I think the more versatile heroes will always be picked more often. And there's also still going to be like the fundamental problems of Overwatch, kind of where like on a payload map, is there ever going to be a situation where Reinhardt won't be commonly picked? Because if you're pushing objective like a payload, Reinhardt, that's like his dream. And he was specifically built almost to do just that. So Reinhardt will probably always be commonly picked unless he gets like nerfed into the ground or something. As long as Reinhardt is at an acceptable level stats-wise, he's so good in so many portions of most maps that he'll be a common pick. And there's like, Lucio's the same way right now, and there's probably other heroes too, like McCree was that way for a long time, although he kind of got replaced by 76, but now they're kind of interchangeable because they're both somewhat effective. It's like similar things, but you can kind of tweak it on map to map, or like map like King's Row Streets phase, it's more close quarters, so you might want a McCree. But King's Row First Point, more long range because Soldier can sit in the window, so maybe you want a Soldier there. And that's the type of thing they could, you know, improve on, but I don't know, it's gonna be tough.
I hope that can happen one day, but I think it is very doubtful because, you know, if you look at a game like Dota, for example, again, they have 100 heroes and that kind of stuff, but regardless of how many heroes they have, there is still a consistent number of heroes, like pool of heroes that are picked over one period of time, which is the meta. It's always going to happen in Overwatch as well. There's always going to be one better way of playing. You know, you're going to have those slight outsiders, like the, you know, Complexity with Sombra, FaZe with Genji. You know, you're always going to have those little differences, but the general core of the heroes is generally going to be the same.
Competition will always find a way of picking the strongest heroes, like the strongest combination. So it's always going to happen that like 1 or 2 heroes are going to be perma-picked. So I mean, in theory it's possible, but then Blizzard has to do like a really good job, like a perfect job, which I think is almost impossible.